What about the other concern that we hear a lot about, certainly in the popular press, on the news at night, on the internet, constantly, is this notion of screen time limits and, only so much, or no screen time, or only so much screen time. I mean, how do you respond to that as an educator, and what's the implications for teachers and for parents?
I think our culture and our society is driven so much by numbers these days. They want to know the percentage. They want to know, the indicator, whether it's a letter or a code of some kind, because that will indicate a certain level or a certain level of sophistication. And I think with this, you can't assign a number to it, because the technology is to be used when it's appropriate, developmentally appropriate, and necessary. And so that kind of talks to this idea of having scheduled times for technology. Too often you'll see in schools that there's going to be a scheduled time. If we really want to provide meaningful experiences for children to see how technology can be woven throughout the day, we need to move away from that type of framework and see how it can fit in. One day you might be using an iPad, you might use a document camera, and then for the next 2 days you might not, because it just didn't belong in the learning sequence of those 2 days. It's whenever it's necessary.
Yeah, that's nice. And so that, again, the notion of it being integrated, not this standalone special experience. And how many times have you walked down the hallways in schools, and I walked down and seen these computer labs empty, or children get their 10 minutes a week or whatever. This is the wrong approach, the wrong model, and we held technology up as this special thing you got to use for this little bit of time, as opposed to this tool like any other.
Instead of, like you said, not being used as a reward, but just as a piece of the day, a part of the day, a material in the classroom. And I think also that the technologies that are coming out are really going to invite teachers to think really creatively about the different experiences they're providing, a new creative way. These tools that are out there now are so different from the other tools in the classroom, and they are just they're going to challenge teachers to think creatively, but it's an exciting challenge that I think teachers should embrace. And I think a big part of that is just being okay with not always knowing what the outcome is going to be, because that's part of the learning experience. You're going to learn from that reflective process.
I've been at this a long time. I've been at this since Apple II computers in preschool classrooms. So in many ways, the conversation has remained the same, which is that if the teacher doesn't have the time to get comfortable and confident and gain some skills, then the technology ends up in the corner or put away or not used. And the potential teachable moment of a child who actually knows how to use it, saying, "I'll show you," gets lost, because there's some sense in this magical technology that I'm supposed to know how to use all of it. I think the breakthrough on that for me is that teachers and adults, parents, are carrying these tools in their pockets every day now. We're using smartphones, and we have iPads, and we use these things outside of the classroom in powerful ways. So the gap between knowing something about them and teaching with them seems to be narrowing, and I think that's an exciting possibility too. And kids are coming to us very competent on these things.
Absolutely. I've definitely noticed that narrowing also. And part of it is because in the past, when we have had, cell phones or whatever, if we're going to hand a cell phone to a child, it's always been, like a play school, a little like some sort of reduced plastic version, where now we're actually handing them the device that we use. And as we interact with applications or, just different devices, we start to think about, how can this work in the classroom, And we need to start thinking about that. Because I think it's just natural for us to sometimes compartmentalize parts of our lives. We compartmentalize our work. We compartmentalize our personal lives. Where here we have an opportunity to kind of bridge them and really use one device in both areas to support our our interactions personally and our interactions within the classroom.